the ability to sustain effort is something I really learned. And that being in the chaos and confusion and things flying and maybe a little violence here and there, I didn't mind it. I liked it a lot.
Welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I'm your host, Trent Clark, and this is episode 15 with David Gregory, Sustainability. David is a lobbyist and a partner in Kelley Cawthorne, a Midwestern lobbying firm. He shares his athletic experience, his value and beliefs about being a lobbyist, and how you'd like to see the view of lobbyists change. You will not want to miss his talk on how his business survived during the pandemic, what he's learned from his athletic experience, the most challenging things of being a lobbyist, and what are the fundamental building blocks of day-to-day life that will lead up to that higher standard. David is a sharp leader, and I love his quote, "Take the game one play at a time." Join us for a fabulous show in this two-part series. Hi, this is Trent Clark, CEO of Leadershipity, and welcome back to Winners Find a Way show. Super excited about my guest today, David Gregory. And David, say hello.
Hey, Trent, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to have you on. It's super fun. You know, in my show here on Winners Find a Way, we talk to a bunch of people. We talk to entrepreneurs, we talk to founders, CEOs, athletes, all sorts of different people. But this is my first venture in having the lobbyist on board. And so I'm super excited because our political climate right now is crazy. So I think it's going to be awesome to talk some shop.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and pleased to be your first lobbyist. Hopefully there are others, but only that they work in my firm or something. I'm not sure.
All right. So your firm. We're going to talk a little bit about you and your firm here in just a moment. For people just joining in for the show first time, I am your host, Trent Clark, 3-time World Series coach, long time in professional baseball, serial entrepreneur, international speaker. And if you're tuning into the show to the Winners Find a Way, we are all talking about it. That time you faced stiff adversity, felt like losses are mounting and you need to find a better way. Well, this is the place where we talk about some tough things. And whether you're an entrepreneur, an athlete, a business leader, just looking to start your journey today to be elite, I think this is the perfect place for you. We talk a lot of tough stuff. So it's good and not always easy, right, David? So,
if it's easy, it's probably not worth doing. At least I have to remind myself of that occasionally.
Yes. Yeah. Not a terrible reminder sometimes when you're up against it, right? Let's talk a little bit, a few highlights on David Gregory. Winners Find a Way show is brought to you by Data-Driven Operations, powered by Journeys. Journeys is a software solution that helps you create a winning formula for your organization. DD Ops, powered by Journey, helps you act as one, see as one, work as one, play as one, win as one. Are you looking for visibility, coachability, and productivity amongst your team? DD Ops is your software. Click on the link in the show notes to learn more. All right. You're currently one of the key partners of Kelley Cawthorne, a leading Midwestern lobbying firm that you joined the firm in 99. Is that right?
That's right. That's when it was formed in 1999. I joined when we opened the doors.
Nice. You've served the firm's lead lobbyist for a diverse range of clients. You've got Chrisman, Deloitte, DTE Energy, Greenstone Farm Credit, Wayne State University. Helps the client secure over $300 million in state capital outlay funding and tax credits for building projects in just these recent years. And you are an up north guy, right? So I love that. Because I told my fun story Friday today, kind of leading up to you and how we kind of discovered the Traverse City world and the playground of Northern Michigan, right? Yep. And you are one of the most pristine places. You're a native of the Leelanau Peninsula and the county, right?
Yeah, Sutton's Bay. I grew up in Sutton's Bay. It was a charming place to grow up in. Although I say I'm from Sutton's Bay and people act like I'm from Grosse Pointe or something, but it really wasn't as gentrified or as fancy when I was a kid as it is now, but it really was still a lovely place to be from.
Yeah, no, it is the place up there, right? It's Sutton's Bay's got a whole new level of posh with people today. So I appreciate that, how things change. Former college football player at Northern Michigan University in the UP. You went up to the Upers and you played a little football. And you have a wife, Nicole. You and your wife also a native Uper. So you married a Uper.
Yeah, well, I was, I wasn't far enough north. I had to go across the bridge and go up to Lake Superior and play football. Had a lot of fun, and then, but I say, fooled around and fell in love. I fell in love at the end of college and met my wife.
That's awesome. So I love that because, a lot of Yoopers won't marry trolls, and a troll is, of course, the people that live below the bridge, right? The
Yeah.
Mackinac Bridge. And so, unfortunately, David and I share this troll. We don't look the same. I actually may look like a troll. I'm not that tall, right? But not you. So now you're a Lansing area lobbyist, of course, our capital here in the state, Michigan. But you actually live in Grand Rapids with your wife and a lot of kids. Three boys still at home, two, off in college and living and doing the dream.
Yeah, we have three at home, still in high school. The boys. One daughter's actually back for the summer. She goes to the University of Alabama. That's Roll Tide. I'm not a bandwagon. I'm not a bandwagon guy. I've always liked Nick Saban, and my daughter and my money are going to University of Alabama.
Yes.
So
yes, that's good.
I support them.
That's good. I love that. I love that support. I appreciate the bandwagon, explaining that because it would be easy to get on that wagon, right?
Obviously unprecedented success. So our daughter's home for the summer, and another one's living in Hawaii, living her best life, doing interesting things out there.
Wow. Yeah. I want to trade lives with your daughter already. Like Hawaii sounds pretty good.
Either one. Yes. Their lives are pretty good.
Yeah. That's nice.
But
that's awesome.
they both worked very hard to get where they are. So we're proud of them.
That's cool. Very cool. Now, what most people don't know about you is went to law school, and you went to law school with our current governor, Governor Whitmer. Is that right?
I did. The current governor was a law school classmate of mine for about 1 year at Thomas Cooley, or Western Michigan University's Thomas Cooley Law School. She then transferred. She got smart and transferred over to Michigan State University and finished up her law degree. But we were good friends, and for a long time when we were younger, and have maintained a friendly relationship with her ever since. I think very highly of her and her family.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, does that prior? I mean, this is years before she was ever the governor, right? So, does that prior friendly relationship help you today as a lobbyist on Capitol Hill at all? Having that relationship?
Not in any meaningful way in terms of getting something done. Not one bit. But because I'm part of a good firm, she actually knew almost all of us in our firm in one way, shape, or form, either as a younger person in law school or when she was working her way up the legislature. So we do well just because she knows we're good, credible, experienced advocates, but we don't get any special treatment. I can guarantee you that.
Dang it.
I can give you example after example where it hasn't gone well for our clients from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I appreciate the way the political spectrum can swing, right? So, all right. So if folks want to reach out to you, David, tell them real quickly, where can they find you online with Kelley Cawthorne, of course, is that fabulous firm. Tell us a little bit about where they can find you.
Well, www.Kelley, Kelley, we always have to say -Cawthorne, CAWTHORNE.com. I think our website was once very state of the art. It's not now, but we're in the midst of a project to update it, and I'm really excited about it. So check us out there, but come back. It'll look better real soon and have more content, more features. We also have a good Facebook page, Kelley Cawthorne.
Nice.
We're on Twitter at Kelley Cawthorne, just like I spelled it out. I'm at Twitter at DGregory1. So
nice. And then you're on LinkedIn. They can find you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. Yes, big advocate of LinkedIn. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, hard not to be today in these climate. Okay, so thank you, David, for coming on the show. Super excited to talk about this. It's just unique environment, right? And I don't think mainstream America, people listening, have any idea what a lobbyist does. So why don't you quickly tell us a little bit about the main purpose of the firm and what you've done for a number of years?
Well, I think first let me say this. I think if to the extent that people even think of lobbyists, they probably don't think highly of them. And I think, the portrayal in popular culture doesn't help. When you do see a lobbyist, they're usually a little shady. And I think the perception is we just walk around, take people out to dinner, take them golfing, take them on junkets, corporate junkets, and hand out big bags of cash. And they vote against the public's interest, and they vote with us. I wish it were that. Actually, I don't wish it were that easy, but it's not like that, quite frankly, at all. It's really not glamorous, although there are some interesting, fun parts of it, but it's not nearly as glamorous, as shady, or as simple as it's portrayed.
So again, Hollywood strikes again with big stories all the way on the edges of, what's possible, right? Inside the genre, and then opens up and says, oh, this is how it always is, right? Which is
right.
Way far from the truth.
So here's how I describe it, Trent. I've always described it as it's simply a sales job in a political marketplace.
Yeah.
We're kind of the middleman, the manufacturer's rep, the salesman, the middleman between, the ideas and issues and goals that our clients have. And we mediate that with our ultimate end user customer who we have to make the sale with to have to get to vote our way or support our issue. And that's the legislator, the congressperson, the governor, the department person in a state agency. But again, we're just selling our ideas and our clients and positions to the end use customer, which is public officials.
There you go. Okay, let's talk a little bit about you. Let's dive into David Gregory for a minute. Let's talk about you're growing up.
Do we have to?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So you get into this sleepy town, quaint Leelanau Peninsula. It's this gorgeous place that, of course, gets overrun in the summer, and then 9 months of pretty regularity, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
Tell us about that kid. Like, what was one of the most impactful pivot points you had as a kid when you knew, hey, I'm destined to go do some other things. I want more. I'm going to do some things. I'm going to get opportunities of people that want you to come play, and then on to this life of influence of people.
And I was thought about that, and something just really came to me when I was young. Let's say second grade, first grade, third grade. I really struggled with reading, actually. My father was a big reader. My father had been a teacher, among other things, an English teacher, and he was a voracious reader. And I really struggled with reading. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really, not to the extent that I thought of it, I didn't think I was one of the smart kids or special kids in class by any stretch. And then for a couple of years as a young person, my father, so he could go to law school later in life after a career, he moved to Lansing. We moved to Lansing for 2 years. So left my small town, went to the big town of Lansing, lived with my aunt, and she worked at Michigan State University at Olin Health Center. And she had season tickets to all the sporting events.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I got to go to see, pretty much every home game Magic Johnson ever played. And Kirk Gibson was playing football for Michigan State. And we went to hockey games. We would go to the big library in downtown Lansing, which was bigger than, any building in my entire little hometown. We would visit the Capitol museums. And I think it really opened me up. And then all of a sudden by fourth grade, I was put in a kind of advanced learning or enrichment program for kids. I really accelerated quickly when I was exposed to a little more culture, a little bit bigger environment. Again, the broader world than just pretty little Sutton's Bay. And I don't think I was ever the same after that, in a good way.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's so big, right? And, I coach Kirk Gibson at the Tigers, so I really appreciate, and I coached at Michigan State with Coach Saban, so we're going to have lots to talk about that a little later.
Well, but I think people forget what a tremendous football player he was, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah.
He was an All-American football player. And then, if I remember right, he went out for baseball 1 year at Michigan State. He had played in high school, and he set the Big Ten home run record. I mean, he was just a tremendous athlete.
Yeah, tremendous athlete. Yeah, and you see a little glimpses of Kirk's football career because he's got about 3 videos out there where he just kills catchers at home plate, right? And you can see he knows exactly what he's doing. Like he's dropping the shoulder, pumping the legs right through contact. Like he's, I think he was an All-American tight end at Michigan State. So no joke, right?
Yeah, he was fast and physical. Yeah, and he liked contact. I mean, really, he was just an amazing competitor.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So let's kind of move forward. Let's talk a little bit about, I love the quote from Chris McChesney and Sean Covey. They wrote a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. This is winners, when shown data that they are losing, find a way to win. So let's talk a little bit about your background that allowed you to overcome and, the resolve to get through some tough times. I mean, either going back, personal, business. I mean, easy one on this last year, hey, how do you keep developing business and selling through a pandemic? So tell me a little bit about one of those times you were up against it, losing, found a way to come back and win, down but not out. Walk us through that a little bit.
Well, I guess, one was in, my, whatever my athletic career amounted to. In college, I earned the starting position and was in my, I guess, second or third year and doing pretty well. And then I basically blew out my ACL, my knee, and close to the last game of the year. Actually, it was Vince Buck from Central State of Ohio, ended up playing for the Saints, just drilled me. And my knee was blown out. And it was towards the end of the season. And then I knew that my knee was done, but some x-rays and mishaps and miscommunication. And next thing you know, it's 6 or 7 weeks later and I still haven't had surgery. And then I had a little bit of a dispute with my team doctors. I ended up going back home to Traverse City at Munson Hospital, Dr. David Lint, an outstanding orthopedic surgeon.
Munson's got a few of those, by the way. They got some good ones.
They do. And he did kind of what was at the time a patellar tendon replacement of my ACL, which was kind of a cutting edge surgery at the time. It's not anymore very common. Yeah. But all of a sudden it's a little past Christmas and football starts in the very beginning of August and I don't have a lot of time. And, and then I saw my name not on the depth chart or off the side of a depth chart in the coach's room one time. And that really lit a fire under me to attack physical rehab with everything I had. And I did. And I ended up playing the next season, 7 months after my surgery, playing football. My right knee, surgical knee, tested out stronger than my left knee. And it was sheer, I guess, determination. And the spark was seeing in a physical reality on a depth chart that maybe I wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to play. And all of a sudden I realized how much it meant to me. So I just attacked rehab and played 7 months later and never looked back. I was never quite the same player again, but, I got back. And whenever I'm struggling or I'm kind of behind or I do think about that, that was a very difficult time. It was a very difficult thing to do. And I realized if I did that, I can do other things that are difficult.
Well, I'll also say this about this, Dave, because you and I are, a few years experienced. Okay. 7 months isn't so uncommon. 7, 8 months in an ACL today is aggressive. Back then, ACLs were 12 to 15 months, standard operating procedure, like rehabilitation, the check-in surgeries. So this was like literally almost halving the time of what organizations wanted from an ACL rehabilitation.
Yeah, and I was aware that it was probably an aggressive time schedule, but I also didn't try to think about things like that too much.
Yeah.
And I did have my doctor and then the physical rehabilitation team that I had, which was mostly in Traverse City that summer. They're like, you can do it if you work really hard. If you go at it every day and you do everything we say and even go beyond it, we believe you can do it. I'm like, okay, well, you're the expert, so I guess I can do it.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes just what we need, right? We need the right people to tell us, like, hey, you can do this, and they know, right? You're probably in some medical journal, by the way, somewhere, back from whatever. 80s, was it 80s? Like whatever it was, like going through it, right?
It was 1989. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
89. All right. So what do you think, you come back and you talk about that? What you've learned, what do you think David Gregory's superpower is that separates you from others and catapults you into those, 1% groups, that leadership, those top tier programs, that top tier firm?
Well, again, I don't know if I'm in the 1% by any stretch of the imagination, but if you say it, I'm going to take it. Number one. Number two, I do think I have pretty good analytical skills and I can analyze situations pretty quickly. I can synthesize a lot of information pretty quickly. I can observe trends and tie them together pretty quickly. And I think clearly to develop a pretty coherent plan of attack, whether it's for a firm or for an issue or for a client. Again, I believe it's the ability to analyze quickly and then communicate it, whether in writing or speaking, I think pretty quickly and then pretty clearly in terms of strategy.
Do you think that was developed? And I'm going to ask you this because Desmond Clark was on our show, longtime Chicago Bear and he lost the Super Bowl with them, I guess. He went to the Super Bowl and they lost to the Colts. But he was talking about like how much is going on at the line of scrimmage in football? Like, I mean, there's like a 7-second window where everyone has to make, 4 to 12 adjustments, and everything's got to happen like that. And then, it's a 7-second play, and then you got 30 seconds, you're going to do it all over again. I mean, do you think like some of that, as you look at defensive schemes and everything that you guys were running up on that front line as a center and as a key cog, and our football teams, we label our centers number one, because like he's the most important person. Like if our center doesn't get the ball first, if we don't get that, nothing happens. Like nothing gets started without the center, right? So tell us a little bit about that. You think that's maybe part of the way you develop those skills?
Possibly. I think it had an influence on it. But yeah, I mean, I always used to say, hey, the center is the most important player on the team because, nothing happens until the center snaps the ball.
That's right.
But then after that, everybody, forgets who you are if they ever knew to begin with. I always said, who knows who the starting center is, whether he's any good or bad. Nobody knows who he is other than his girlfriend or his mom.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't mind that anonymity. I enjoyed the scrum and the confusion and, quite frankly, the contact and violence of line of scrimmage play and, battling somebody in very tight quarters and just, your will against their will, your technique against their technique. It's just so elemental and fundamental and just, just a test of wills, a test of technique, a test of determination, a test of, can you sustain? My line coach, Buck Nystrom, used to talk about that all the time. Can you sustain great effort through 4 quarters? Can you sustain great effort through a long practice or a conditioning, a conditioning class in the wintertime? Can you sustain effort in life, in the slog of life? Because it is a slog sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the ability to sustain effort is something I really learned. And that being in the chaos and confusion and things flying and maybe a little violence here and there, I didn't mind it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great. And we need to talk about Buck a little bit more too, because he's very influential in Coach Saban's world and that crossover, because he had some influence in that Spartan days of Coach Saban when I was at Michigan State. And so talk to me a little bit about how some of that served you and your firm during this chaotic pandemic. Like, hey, every way you've done business now said, oh, you can't do business that way anymore for the next 6 months or 2 months or whatever it is, however long that sustains out. Very different. How do you take that adjustment to your firm and do something different?
Well, I mean, I think, we did learn from Buck and from athletics and other experiences in life. But, first really through athletics, at least that's how I learned it, was, you have to adapt. You have to adapt to the situation. You have to improvise some. Everybody has a plan going in until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah,
right?
Tyson.
That's what Mike Tyson. I mean, so you can have a plan and you can work the plan and you can practice to the plan. And all of a sudden the plan is not working. What are you going to do? Are you going to give up? Are you going to give into confusion and chaos, or are you going to remain calm? Rely on your training. You might have to adapt a tactic, but your underlying training mentally and physically should prepare you to be able to change on the fly. Yeah. And we did during the pandemic. I'm glad to talk about that. I'm sure many businesses did. I know they did. Many lobbying businesses did, but I can only speak to how it was for us.
Yeah, I love that. And you see that how difficult one is for sustained effort through that timeline. Like that's very difficult. And of course, I think a lot of people struggled that with pandemic because it was like, hey, I can do this for 2 weeks. Even if they're just saying another 2 weeks, I'm okay, right? But then it kept going. You're like, wait a minute, if you get sustained effort in this adjustment, in this adaptation. And I'm reminded of like the Super Bowl where Brady came back, right? It just looks awful. It's back to that shown data that you're losing. I mean, they're down like 24 points or something, right? It's looking bad. And you're thinking, man, we're only halfway through this thing. And I love some of the sound bites from the Falcons players, not to bring up a sore spot for them, but like, hey man, they still got Brady. They still got a plan. They're going to adjust. Like we got to be on our game too. Like, and they're talking about, exactly what you just said. They're talking about like, we can't stop the sustained effort. We have 2 more quarters. You can't just call it in. It's not over.
And it wasn't,
It was not.
It was not over. I mean, That's the thing. I mean, you got to play through the whistle. You got to play through, through the end of the play. You've got to play all four quarters in athletics and in life, and all four quarters of life, and I'm definitely in the second half. I don't know if I'm in the fourth quarter yet, but I'm in the second half, third quarter for sure. So,
yeah.
Hey, quick, a great example when I was in college, it's the 30-year anniversary of NMU winning the national championship in hockey.
Yeah.
Over Boston University. And I went to the game. I knew some guys on the team. They were down 3-0 to Boston University, which is a far bigger, far better known, far more established hockey program than Northern Michigan was at the time. We were down 3-0 in the first period, excuse me. Then we went up 7-4 in the second period. And then Boston U came back.
So 8 goals in the second period.
And then it got tied. And then we didn't score in the third period, and it ended 7-7. And Tony Amante, I think it was, got a breakaway and scored on our goalie on a breakaway with like 20 seconds left. So we were down, we were up, we were down, and then they went into 3 overtimes and won 8-7. I mean, it was a tremendously talented team.
What a game.
Well-coached team, probably paying an even more talented team, but they never gave up. They persevered. They just relied on their training and their conditioning and their belief in themselves, and just barely outlasted their opponent.
Thank you for joining us for another Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark. If you love this episode, share this episode with your friends and follow us on whatever podcasting medium you're listening to. If you want more content from us, join us at leadershipity.com or the Leadershipity YouTube channel. You can find us on all the social media networks at either Trent M. Clark or Leadershipity. For our award-winning workshop, Win with Great Teams, you can find that page on LinkedIn as well as our corporate page, Leadershipity. If you want to win more, it starts with you today. Say it with me now. I have what it takes.